oldest son, who will be 20 in a couple of months, wrote me a letter not too long ago. The point is, we were discussing it yesterday, and we were talking about the growing pains of like how frustrated I was with my sons from January to now, and how we're finally in a really good spot with communication and emotional, physical labor, all that. Like, it's not all on me. But we were having this conversation, and I said, yeah, I was really frustrated with you guys back in January, February, March, April. It wasn't until about May that we got to a really good spot. I felt like I was repeating myself over and over and over, and it reminded me that your kids will imitate your example, not your advice. I had told them from the moment they could comprehend that they were not going to be, I wasn't going to raise them like any man in my life. Every single man in my life is emotionally immature, thinks it's okay to verbally and physically abuse women, etc., etc. And I was basically like, you're not going to be a deadbeat husband and or father. I'm not raising you that way, right? And we talked about it a lot, a whole lot throughout their upbringing. But it didn't matter what I said, because the example that they were given was that the emotional and physical labor is on the woman of the house. They were so used to watching me do literally everything, being the default parent, answering all the questions, teaching them how to drive, teaching them how to shave. Even the things that were supposed to be a father's responsibility fell onto me. It obviously was not like that in the beginning, but as they got older and they could remember, that's the example that they saw. So it took them, and they also saw very small things. Hey, can you please take your shoes off? I just mopped. When you enter the house. No. They saw 500 times me asking for something small, and me having absolutely no respect shown. I don't care that you've been cleaning all day. I'm going to leave my shit everywhere. I don't care that you just got done mopping. I'm going to traipse in here with my shoes. I don't care that you just changed the bed. I'm going to fall into the bed with the clothes that I've been wearing all day. Just things like that. Small things to big things. It didn't matter how much I talked about what I expected from them and who I wanted them to be when they grew up. What they saw was something completely different. And he was basically just saying, I'm really sorry, Mom. Like, I'm really sorry. I didn't realize like how much of this was put on you. Like, we had a really good conversation. But just like with your daughters, if you tell them that it's not acceptable to be verbally or physically abused by a man or emotionally manipulated or whatever, and then they see that happening to you, or you allow that into their life, even if it's their own father, if you allow that type of behavior around them, they're going to think that it's normal. It doesn't matter what you say to them. They're going to live by your example, not your advice. And I thought I had done a really good job raising them to be, they do have emotional intelligence and things like that, but so I did not realize how much of the example they were given was going to be patterns that I had to go in and undo. And man, was it a process.